Metastasis, spread of a tumor to sites that are physically discontinuous with the primary tumor. Metastasis is the spread of the tumor to sites that are physically discontinuous with the primary tumor. It is the most characteristic feature of malignant tumors. Metastasis is the most characteristic feature of malignant tumors. Metastasis is the spread of tumor to sites which are physically discontinuous with the primary tumor. It is the most important characteristic feature of malignant tumors. Pathways of spread: seeding of body cavities and surfaces, lymphatic spread, hematogenous spread. Three pathways of spread: seeding of body cavities and surface, lymphatic spread, and hematogenous spread. Seeding of body cavities and surfaces, hematogenous spread, and lymphatic spread. Seeding of body cavities and surfaces. Malignant tumors penetrate into the body cavities such as peritoneal cavity, which is most common, pleural or pericardial cavity. Malignant tumors penetrate into the body cavities like pleural cavity, pericardial cavity, and peritoneal cavity. Peritoneal cavity is the most common cavity in which they penetrate, seen particularly with ovarian cancers. Seeding of body cavities and surfaces. This is seen particularly with ovarian cancers. So, the most common pathway of spread for ovarian cancer is seeding of body cavities and surfaces. Lymphatic spread, most common pathway for the initial dissemination of carcinomas. Example, breast carcinoma. Lymphatic spread is the most common pathway for the initial dissemination of the carcinomas. Example, breast carcinoma, lung carcinoma, and papillary carcinoma of thyroid. Lymphatic spread, example, breast carcinoma, lung carcinoma, and papillary carcinoma of the thyroid. Lymphatic vessels located at the margins of invading cancers are penetrated. Lymphatic vessels located at the margins of invading cancers are penetrated. So the lymphatic vessels which are located at the margin of the invading cancer, they are penetrated. The pattern of spread follow the natural routes of lymphatic drainage. Senator lymph node, the first lymph node in the regional lymphatic basin that receives the lymph flow from the primary tumor. Senator lymph node is the first node in a regional lymphatic basin. Senator lymph node is the first node in the lymphatic basin. Senator lymph node is the first node in the regional lymphatic basin that receives lymph flow from primary tumors. Hematogenous spread, typically seen with sarcomas. Example, angiosarcoma and fibrosarcoma. Small veins are usually penetrated. Liver and lungs are most frequently involved. Small veins are usually penetrated. Liver and lungs are most frequently involved. Some carcinomas like renal cell carcinoma, hepatocellular carcinoma, follicular carcinoma of thyroid show hematogenous spread. Hematogenous spread is typically seen with sarcomas. Example, angiosarcoma and fibrosarcoma. Small veins are usually penetrated. In case of hematogenous spread, the small veins are usually penetrated. Liver and lungs are most frequently involved. Some carcinomas are also involved in hematogenous spread like RCC, renal cell carcinoma, hepatocellular carcinoma, follicular carcinoma of thyroid. Follicular carcinoma of thyroid, hepatocellular carcinoma, and renal cell carcinoma, they show hematogenous spread. So metastasis is the spread of a tumor to sites that are physically discontinuous with the primary tumor. It is the most characteristic feature of malignant tumors. Pathway of spread: seeding of body cavities and surfaces, seen particularly with ovarian cancers. Lymphatic spread, it is most common pathways for dissemination of carcinomas like breast carcinoma, lung carcinoma, and papillary carcinoma of thyroid. Lymphatic vessels are located at the margins of the invaded cancer. Those are penetrated. The pattern of spread follows the natural route of the lymphatic drainage. Senator lymph node is the first node in the regional lymphatic basin that receives the lymph flow from the primary tumor. Senator lymph node is the first node in the regional lymphatic basin that receives the lymph flow from the primary tumor. Hematogenous spread is typically seen with sarcomas, example angiosarcoma and fibrosarcoma. Small veins are involved, liver and lungs are frequently involved. Some carcinomas like renal cell carcinoma, hepatocellular carcinoma, follicular carcinoma of thyroid show hematogenous spread. Mechanisms of invasion and metastasis. Invasion of the extracellular matrix, detachment, dissociation of cancer cells from one another with the loss of E-cadherin function. With the loss of E-cadherin function, the cancer cells dissociate from each other. Detachment is because of the loss of E-cadherin function. ECM degradation. Proteases, that is MMPs, secreted by tumor cells cause degradation of the basement membrane and interstitial connective tissue. Proteases secreted by tumor cells cause the degradation of the basement membrane and interstitial connective tissue. Proteases released by the tumor cells will cause the degradation of the basement membrane and interstitial connective tissue. ECM attachment, catabolism of the ECM. Generate novel sites that bind to the receptor on tumor cells and stimulate their migration. Catabolism of the ECM generates novel sites that bind to the receptors on the tumor cells and stimulate their migration. Migration, tumor cell derived cytokines facilitate migration of tumor cells by contraction of the actin cytoskeleton. Mechanism of invasion and metastasis में we have invasion of the extracellular matrix. There is detachment of the cancer cells from one another due to the loss of E-cadherin, ECM degradation because of the proteases secreted by the tumor cells. They cause the degradation of the basement membrane and the interstitial connective tissue. They will cause the degradation of the basement membrane and the interstitial connective tissue. Then there's ECM attachment. Catabolism of the ECM will generate novel sites that will bind to the tumor cells and stimulate their migration. Tumor cell derived cytokines facilitate the migration of the tumor cells by contraction of the actin cytoskeleton. Cytokines, they cause the contraction of the actin cytoskeleton, which causes the migration of tumor. So invasion of extracellular matrix, first step detachment because of loss of E-cadherin, then ECM degradation because of the proteases, ECM attachment, novel sites are generated, okay, and then migration. Tumor cell derived cytokines facilitate migration of the tumor cells by contraction of the actin cytoskeleton. Then vascular dissemination and homing of tumor cells. Vascular dissemination and homing of the tumor cells. Within the circulation, tumor cells form clumps or emboli. Within the circulation, the tumor cells form clump or emboli. Arrest and extravasation of the tumor emboli at distant sites involve adhesion to the endothelium and egress through the basement membrane. Arrest and extravasation of the tumor emboli at distant site involve adhesion to the endothelium and egress to the basement membrane. Arrest and extravasation of the tumor emboli at distant sites involve adhesion to the endothelium and egress through the basement membrane. Many tumor arrest in the first capillary bed they encounter, that is lung and liver, and some tumors show organ tropism. The vascular dissemination and homing of tumor cells within the circulation, the tumor cells will form emboli or clumps. These emboli will be arrested, and so arrest and extravasation of the tumor emboli at distant sites involve adhesion to the endothelium and egress to the basement through the basement membrane. Many tumors arrest in the first capillary bed they encounter, and some tumors may show organ tropism. Tumors that metastasize to liver are adenocarcinoma of colon, gastric adenocarcinoma, adenocarcinoma of colon, gastric adenocarcinoma, pancreatic carcinoma, esophageal carcinoma, and renal cell carcinoma. Adenocarcinoma of colon, gastric adenocarcinoma, pancreatic cancer, esophageal carcinoma, renal cell carcinomas. These metastasize to the liver. To the liver. Tumors that metastasize to the liver: adenocarcinoma of colon, gastric adenocarcinoma, pancreatic carcinoma, esophageal carcinoma metastasizes to liver, renal cell carcinoma metastasizes to the liver. Tumors that metastasize to lungs are bladder cancer, breast carcinoma, adenocarcinoma of colon, and renal cell carcinoma. So renal cell carcinoma and adenocarcinoma of colon, they metastasize to both liver and lungs. Adenocarcinoma of colon and renal cell carcinoma, they metastasize to both lungs and liver. Liver tumors that metastasize to liver are adenocarcinoma of colon, gastric adenocarcinoma, pancreatic carcinoma, renal cell carcinoma, and esophageal carcinoma. Tumors that metastasize to lung are adenocarcinoma of colon, renal cell carcinoma, breast carcinoma, and bladder cancer. So this was about the metastasis. Then the pathways of spread, that is seeding of body cavities and surfaces. Example, ovarian tumors, lymphatic spread seen with carcinomas. Example, breast carcinoma, lung carcinoma, papillary carcinoma of thyroid. Hematogenous spread seen with sarcomas like angiosarcoma, fibrosarcoma, also seen with certain carcinomas like renal cell carcinoma, hepatocellular carcinoma, and follicular carcinoma of thyroid. Mechanism of invasion and metastasis: invasion of the extracellular matrix. It involves detachment due to the loss of E-cadherin function, ECM degradation because of proteases, then ECM attachment and migration because of the tumor cell derived cytokines. Then vascular dissemination and homing of the tumor cells. Within the circulation, the tumor cells form clump and emboli. The emboli are arrested and extravasated. Then many tumor cells arrest in the first capillary bed they encounter, that is lung or liver, and some may show organ tropism. Tumors metastasized to liver are esophageal carcinoma, renal cell carcinoma, and pancreatic carcinoma, adenocarcinoma of colon, gastric adenocarcinoma. Tumors that metastasize to the lung are breast carcinoma, bladder carcinoma, adenocarcinoma of colon, and renal cell carcinoma.